we go. So the blog post, guys, 2021 first half preview. Greetings, Marvel Strike Force fans. We're already into February, but we'd like to formally welcome you to the new year, and spring will be here before you know it. The development team has a number of projects and initiatives that we're working on in 2021. As we started doing this about every 6 months, we would like to give you a preview of some of the things we're targeting to release in the first half of this year. So I'm kind of interested in why they're doing it when they say first half, when it's basically March. So we're kind of already a third of the way through the first half of the year. And maybe this is the normal timing of it. And I'm not sure. So I can't remember exactly when they normally have this. It might be on track. But when they say first half, they're kind of like leaving themselves less room is what I'm getting at. All right, moving on. So new features, costumes, skins, whatever you want to call it, they're coming to the game. The Marvel characters we know and love have evolved in many ways since they were introduced to the world through the pages of Marvel Comics. One thing that just about all of the characters of Marvel Strike Force have in common is that they have worn multiple costumes / attire in their various appearances. And what they're saying is not in the game, they're mean in Marvel kind of lore and comics. So we're excited to announce that the ability to change character costumes is coming, and we're happy to share some of the changes you'll be able to make. So they're showing Daredevil. I think that's in a Shadowlands version. I haven't read the Shadowlands comics, but from looking up a couple of images for different content I was doing, that appears to be a Shadowlands Daredevil. I could be wrong, but that's my thought. I don't know what version of X-Men this is from, but just a little bit different look. Kind of looks like he has a little shoe buckle here. And yeah, it's pretty a svelte skin he's got going on. And then Captain Marvel in kind of a common Kree type coloring of her costume. Would be kind of cool if what she did is that if she had like different coloring effects when she went into her like, ultimate, those kind of things, different kind of helmet on top, maybe mohawk, different coloring for that. That'd be kind of neat. But I think just looking at them out of 3 personally, I like Daredevil's the most out of the 3, but it's nice to give different flavors, and there's going to be a bunch of different skins. So one of the exciting aspects of costumes is that we can visit iconic uniforms and apparel in the Marvel universe across many timelines and media. Some characters that currently have classic attire might get access to a more modern look, and vice versa. Or certain characters that have threads inspired by the pages of the comics might unlock a new ensemble from a Marvel movie or television series, and vice versa. So that's cool. And it sounds like each character, say Captain Marvel, is going to have multiple different looks as options that potentially you could unlock and use the one that you like the most. The possibilities are practically endless. Please know that the costumes shown here might not be the first ones made available, but they will be coming in the not so distant future. All right. So the methods in which costumes will be unlocked is still being finalized, but it's likely that they will be available through several different modes in the game, and similar to how characters are unlocked through various modes and events, which is interesting. It doesn't say purchase there. It doesn't say that you could purchase, but when they do say that, similar to how characters are unlocked, characters are offers. So if they mean it that way, even though they're just saying modes and events, but if they also mean character purchases, then you might be able to buy skins as you would buy character shards. So it does say modes and events, but when it says similar to characters, I think that leaves the door open for direct sales potentially. But TBD. We know this is something that our players have been asking for, and we're eager to hear your feedback on which costumes that you would like to see for your favorite characters. We plan on releasing a steady stream of costumes for years to come. All right, so my one question regarding this, because I think it's all positive, and I don't think this has any bearing on how they're going to be perceived in the game, at least for me, but will the costumes come with stat benefits as you know in different games? I think that's the major thing with this, isn't like which skins are going to come in first. I think that's kind of a moot point. We all have personal favorites, and some characters will get more skins at a faster rate than others based upon potentially sales, those kind of things. But will Daredevil's skin come with stats? Will Captain Marvel get a stat jump on her skins, or are these cosmetic only? So that's what's not listed here, and maybe they've touched on this elsewhere, but I think this is the first time they've really addressed costumes. And so what they didn't state is whether it's cosmetic only, or else will they come with stat benefits. And that would be something that needs additional clarity. And I wouldn't be upset either way. I think if they just want to do skins for cosmetics and sell them, or introduce them in the game for different kind of modes as reward. I think it's perfectly fine. If they want to sell them for profit, I think it's perfectly fine and tie them to, stat jumps. But I think it'd be good to kind of know what direction they're going towards so we can kind of plan ahead. Okay, do we need to, build our teams up because they actually are going to get stat jumps, and it's really important for our roster progression to start building, stronger raid teams because these skins are going to be tied into rewards for Doom campaigns and Grit campaigns, etc. Raids and war potentially, or is it just going to be cosmetic only, at your leisure? If you really, want a certain skin, here's where it's available. Knock yourself out, build up, X team because it's in this mode. And that's the unlock requirement. So that'll be yet to be seen, guys. I think that's the most kind of a tip of the tongue thing that comes to mind as to costumes. That's important to know. That's not illustrated here. All right, ISO 8 Tier 2. Last year when the ISO 8 feature was introduced, we were thrilled with the positive response from players. That's such a game-changing feature, and laid the groundwork for us to expand on it in the future and consider the next evolution would look like. We're happy to announce that the next iteration is now in production. So very cool. I think that's a interesting thing to do, guys, is ISO 8. I think we all knew this was coming at some point. As soon as they came out with ISO 1, we knew it just a matter of time it was going to be ISO 2. So whether it was what color it was going to be called or anything like that, that's immaterial. But I think the most important thing, let me read the last sentence and then I'll give my thoughts, sorry. ISO 8 Tier 2 is intended to be late game content when introduced, and players will first gain access to Tier 2 crystals and ions as rewards in the Doom Raid. So Doom Raid 1, so obviously the Doom Raids are not short-term or limited like they were stating. They're here to stay, and because it's going to be tied to the release mechanism of ISO 8 Tier 2. So they're permanent. I don't know why they said limited. Maybe that meant the rewards are limited because they're going to be altering them in the future. Or maybe they just didn't know, and they just wanted to introduce something to the game to keep us busy. I don't know. But obviously now going forward, they're here to stay. We'll have more details on Tier 2 in the coming months. Okay, so my thoughts on ISO 8 Tier 2 are pretty simple, guys. I think it's whatever anyone are thinking on ISO 8 Tier 2, I think unless you have any kind of hints or like feedback from the devs or somebody in the know that works for Scopely is telling you, hey, here's what they're going to look like, I think it's TBD. That's kind of just where I'm at. I think it's really too soon to say how strong they'll be, how much they'll alter the game. It's pretty obvious based upon the current ISO 1s that they're going to be impactful. So the very least, they're going to be impactful. How impactful and how expensive, how beneficial building your teams up for the Doom Raid specifically to acquire these is going to be, like from a cost-benefit analysis. I don't think we can say because we don't rightly know. And like when they release gear tiers, for example, like just standard gear tiers, gear tier 12 to gear tier 13 was like a 2.7% stat jump per character. But gear tier 13 to 14 was roughly somewhere, gosh, I forgot what it exactly is. It was significant. It was a very large jump. And then I want to say like 18%, 17, 18%, but I might be wrong, guys. It might be lower, like more in the 10 to 12 range. But it was much higher than we had ever seen before for any other gear tier to gear tier transition. And then gear tier 13 to 14 is like another 18%. So it's a massive jump. 13 to 14 was mostly focus and resistance. 14 to 15 is a lot of health and damage. So, but the overall stat jumps are very impactful. So we don't know. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know if they even know. If they're working on it, they're still figuring it out. We don't know if there's going to be major mechanic changes to the current ISOs. Are they going to use the same ISOs, striker, skirmisher, raider, fortifier, healer, or are they going to create new ones? Are they going to make Fortifier strong in the meta now and be a real big boost? Or are they going to make Raiders more toned down and just not as strong for the next iteration? We don't know. But I will say the very minimum is that the base stat jumps that you get from equipping those gear pieces are actually understated. from a CC standpoint. Like a lot of people don't realize that you're actually getting just base stat jumps when you're equipping the gear. And I'll show this afterwards, but like every piece that you acquire, like towards the end, I think you're getting 10% for each damage, health, focus, resist, and one other. Once you get up to level 5, and that actually adds up. So 10% is not something small, and is actually very impactful and helpful for your roster. So just something to be aware of, guys. At the very least, if it continues on that 2% per level, and I'm assuming that ISO, I am assuming this, but I would assume that ISO tier 2 is going to be level 6 through 10 of ISO progression. So currently the green ISOs are level 1 through 5. I would assume, I could be wrong, but I would assume that blue ISOs are a continuation in the progression. It would be level 6 through 10, but they didn't state that here. They're not alluding to that. They're just saying tier 2. So maybe tier 2 is just another level 1 through 5, and they're completely different traits, skills, and all that. But since I'm assuming that they're going to be advancing beyond green into blue, I don't think you're going to have like duplication where like you have the green and plus you have the blue. I think it's going to be more like the blue overrides the green and is a continuation of Raider, continuation of Striker, Fortifier, etc. And that's my assumption. I think that's from what they're stating. They didn't say that it was an alternate path you could take with different kind of abilities. So okay, if you don't like the first 5 types that were introduced, here's a new 5. That's not what they're stating. It sounds like this is just another iteration of the same existing 5. There may or may not be changes in mechanics or improvements in the mechanics of them. If I had to guess, I would assume Fortifier is the most likely to see an improvement over the green ISO, but that's just speculation. But again, the initial Doom raid, guys, the rewards were so poor, and that's how they do it with every raid. The initial raid rewards are so poor. Every time they come out with a raid, the initial rewards are dreadful. They're very demotivating. And then over time, after we bitch and moan and complain, they eventually increase them to be like somewhat like acceptable, but very low still. So I'm not saying that this won't be useful to go after, and it'll be obviously any kind of forms of roster progression are important, guys. That's not what I'm stating, but I think it's going to be important to see what the rewards are before you start dumping all your resources into these teams, and especially since a lot of these meta teams that are coming out in raids are not going to be the same teams and characters that we're going to be using by the time this releases. So I would caution everyone not to invest in teams and characters that are in the game right now, specifically that we're using for Doom Raid, or you're thinking about are your options for Doom Raid, because very likely by the time this comes out, they're going to release very specific new characters that are going to be very strong in raids in these specific trait requirements that they're going to want to sell us, and then are going to be dominant and superior to what we have in the game now. Specifically, I would say in the skill tree, if I would not waste a single dime in any shield besides Yo-Yo, anything like that, it's all crap for raids. Even Taskmaster and Zemo are crap for raids. I would not build them up specifically for Doom raids long term. If you want to do it in the short term, by all means, have at it. I love those both characters anyways, but I would wait until better characters are introduced for raids. Save up, if you really want to focus on this, that's fine, save up, but do it on characters that are going to scale well into this and are likely going to be meta. If we don't have good options now, that's an indicator that there's nothing meta currently in the game, and don't invest and chase the old meta when the characters that have been outpaced or outscaled by the meta and the difficulty sliders of the content that MSF has released. So wait until they release new characters with improved base stats and kits that are designed to scale with the endgame content that we're trying to get these rewards for, and then invest in those characters when you can. That would be my advice. And again, there's no characters tied to that. I would definitely say right now, based upon the hints that Tana, Marvel, and then Valley have indicated of Silver Surfer coming to the game, I would almost guarantee I'm a Silver Surfer homer. I love him. I'll invest everything into him, even if he sucks. But I would almost guarantee that Silver Surfer is going to be tied to the cosmic lane and doing, or not cosmic lane, there's no cosmic lane, but he'll be cosmic, and then there'll be, I don't know if he's going to be mystic or something else. He's not going to be global. It seems like he would have to be mystic or else some new trait. But I don't know what they consider the power cosmic, if that's considered a mystic power or what bucket that falls into. So we'll see. But it's definitely not skill. It's definitely not, city bio. It could be bio. So it's either probably going to be bio or mystic. I would lean towards mystic, but I don't know. We'll see. But there's going to be, I'm just using Silver Surfers as an example, guys. There's going to be new characters that are coming to the game that are going to be very specifically built and with passes and traits to really perform well in this Doom Raid, to advance our progression and build up towards these ISOs. So they're inventing new trait requirements, new characters that fit these trait requirements to sell us this very specific gear piece. So blue ISOs are going to be tied to the Doom Raid. Oh, okay. Let me hold off. I was going to hint at something else, but let me continue reading the blog, and then I'll announce that. Strike Pass. Most of you have likely already been earning rewards with Mojo's Mayhem in Real-Time Arena, RTA. We'll be using a similar system called Strike Pass to grant rewards for completing daily objectives, including some new additions. Okay, so we're getting a new Strike Pass, similar to Battle Pass, and also some new objectives, daily objectives, which is interesting. I'm curious what those are. In most cases, this means that you'll get more rewards. I'm wondering what they mean in most cases. Maybe if you can't complete the objectives, maybe. Including orange gear for the actions you're already taking in the game. Okay, so again, the question, let me finish the last couple things here. There will be different levels of rewards based on your current level in the game. For example, the pass for newer players will likely contain a lot of blue and purple gear. That's cool. I think that's appropriate. While the pass for veteran players will contain more orange gear. More details shall be revealed closer to release. Okay, no problem with that. Again, guys, I don't want to speculate, but if it's going to be similar to RTA, like they've paired it to, it sounds like another pass they're trying to sell us. So most of you are already earning rewards with Mojo's Mayhem in Real-Time Arena. We'll be using a similar, quote-unquote, system called the Strike Pass to grant extra rewards for completing daily objectives. So if they're saying similar, I would assume that means also a free-to-play line of rewards with a pay-to-play line of rewards. And if they're saying similar, that seems to me kind of their model. So they're going to have two different lines here. Lower rewards for free-to-play for daily objectives and this new Strike Pass. Extra rewards for people that are willing to spend that extra, I guess if they're saying similar, let's just say $20 a month. So $40 in total for the two. If you want faster progression, here's another $30 on top of that. If you want to skip ahead in those. So apparently they're going to be doing dual passes, and let's just call it $20 a pop until we hear more. But so yeah, obviously it's TBD. It could be completely free, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But when they're saying similar, that's what that reads to me as. But you never know. If there's some big backlash, maybe they just make it completely free to play. I'm assuming the dual lines, one for free to play, higher rewards for people that are willing to spend extra money, which is fine. I don't have a major problem with it, but that seems to be the direction they're going with that new Strike Pass, guys. And not a whole lot of detail there as to what's going to be included and whatnot, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out and see how it goes. Hopefully they include some gold and maybe some red star orbs, red star fragments and gold, and some T13 of those mini uniques that you need 61 of per character. I really hope that's what they mean by orange gear. We need a lot of those, guys. They need to start making those accessible in the game. It's getting pretty ridiculous on those. All right, let me keep speeding up. Exclusive original character. Not going to lie, we're pretty stoked about this next thing. We've been working closely with Marvel to create a brand new named character, not a minion, never before seen. They'll be introduced into the Marvel universe exclusively through Marvel Strike Force. Oh yeah, they'll officially become canon in the Marvel universe too. Expect to hear more about this character's unveiling close to the game's anniversary around March or April. I'm curious. I'm thinking villain, but I could be wrong. I'm just thinking it's more fun to create a fun new villain for Marvel. So that's what my thought process is. But you would think they would be good in the game, or maybe like a new. You know, what'd be cool too is if they had that character that came to the game as the daily achievement or daily kind of unlock. You log in, kick Wolverine to a node, and make that character that. I think that'd be a cool one. But we'll see. We'll see what the release mechanism is going to be. And yeah, that is kind of neat from just a standpoint. That's pretty unique for a game to get their own lore built into Marvel. So that's fun, and yeah, that's pretty cool of them. And congratulations, Scopely Fox Next, Marvel Strike Force. That's a pretty cool achievement. Improvements, save squad tabs. We've been steadily rolling out improvements over the past few years to the squad select screen and the associated character roster and save squad screens. Yes, that's true. There have been some QL there. It's been appreciated. With many base improvements made, we're now able to move on to something that's been highly requested, save squad tabs, finally. Instead of having only one list of save squads, you'll have multiple tabs and lists associated with several of the most popular game modes like Arena, Blitz, and Raid. Okay, so one thought process here, might be jumping ahead of myself, but I don't really need a tab for Arena. I need a tab for War. So Arena, you like use one or two teams max. War, you use a ton of hybrids and all this other stuff that does not match up with your Blitz. So I really hope it's Blitz tab. I'm sorry, War tab, Blitz tab, and Raid tab. I could care less about Arena as a priority. If they give it to us, fantastic. But we really need a Raid tab. I'm sorry, a War tab. We definitely need a Blitz tab. Definitely need a Raid tab with all the different trade requirements now. But please, please, please include a War tab. It's very important. Arena, not so much. War, very much so. Cool. All right. While that larger feature is being worked on, we plan to add more save squads in the next game version as a stopgap. Please don't make it 5 like you keep doing. Please make it more impactful. But thank you. Very nice to hear. I think that's a really nice change in the game, guys, with these save squad tabs. We've needed it for a very long time. It's cool that they're doing quality of life stuff. I'll give them credit. I think that's very slow to be introduced to the game, but it's been needed for a long time. If they're delivering on it, fantastic. Thumbs up. All right, raid season milestone reward. Maybe I can give you guys my thing here. I'll see if I can do this right. Boom. There he goes. Thumbs up. All right, so this is something we've mentioned in a previous post, but it's worth mentioning again as it's an important feature that is due to be spruced up with the meta game. Currently, many alliances tend to finish the raid season milestones rewards rather quickly. Yes, like on day 2, you have them all done. So we're looking to improve the long-term experience with more top-tier milestones for additional rewards, including Orange Gear. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It doesn't have to be a lot. You know, I'll take everything we can get. But yeah, you don't just... they're completed very quickly, and rates don't seem very... For the season rewards, I agree. There's arguments to be made over the daily, how well they feel for roster progression. But for the amount of time you're doing for the... the raid season rewards, both the 2-week payout and also over time for the milestones, they don't feel very good. But yeah, so it's nice they're addressing that. Raid key tracking. This is something that's been requested by many alliances leaders and officers. The ability to see which members of their alliance are contributing those vital raid keys. You can see it in the alliance screen, but you have to do like a little filter. It takes a second to get over there, but you can see it. We know that alliance leaders have additional quality of life improvement requests, and the team is reviewing those to evaluate what we can address this year. Raid key tracking. Oh, no, you're right. I'm sorry, I misread that. Raid key tracking. Yeah, you can track energy, but you can't track raid keys. So that makes sense. So it looks like they're going to give us access to see. So if somebody's slacking, I would say that just in general, it's usually collection. You can see who's sitting on energy and it's like sitting at the home base, like who's joined the raid but hasn't done anything. You can see where they are in the raid. It's pretty easy. But from actually checking to see who's collected their 600. So when a new Greek raid starts, you can collect those tickets or whatever they're called. So it's important to see who's done that, and that'll help out. That way they can ping the individual users, hey, can you log on and collect these so we can launch the raid? That's cool. You know, and the other thing to do, like, why are you even giving these to the players? To be honest, just give them all to the Alliance. That might be a strange thing to say, but like if you're in the Alliance and it's an Alliance raid, it's not a Lark Will raid, it's not my raid. I don't launch the raid. I'm not a leader. Even when I was, it's still not my raid. I was a captain for a brief amount of time, but it's still not my raid. I could launch the raid, but it wasn't my raid. It was the Alliance's raid. So, like, unless you want to punish alliances for having less players, I would just give it to the alliance, and then they can collect their keys when they have the players there. There might be some aspects of that that are a little wonky with like players transferring to new alliances, but as a player comes into their alliance or when the new raid launches, I would say just drop the keys to the alliance leader and the captains in a bucket and allow them to launch the raids. Like there's making sure that the players all log in to claim them seemed a little weird. I would just give them all to the alliance bucket and then just have at it. And that way you don't have to track. And this raid key tracking wouldn't even need to be implemented. You could just give all the keys at once to the alliance leadership team. That would be my suggestion. That might, again, present some problems with player transfers, but I think that would be an easier fix. But still good that they're taking a solution towards it. All right, red stars for Ultron. The team wants to give additional value to opening basic red star orbs, and we're doing this by introducing a new currency that will be part of the orb drops. This new currency will be redeemable to purchase red stars for characters like Ultron, who previously didn't have any access to them, and additional red stars for Ultimus. So Ultimus is currently, I think, capped at 5, if I want to say correctly. So he can now go above that, potentially, if you want to go ham on him. The new currency will give players some additional agency into getting red stars for specific characters in the future. Please know that this new currency is intended to be something that is accrued over time and redeemed again, over a long period of time. So it's not going to be something fast. I imagine they're going to be selling us the currency in offers, just like the tokens occasionally. And it'll be something where you accrue a very small amount, over time. So it's going to be like very small fragments. And but again, any kind of additional way to purchase very specific red stars, fantastic, guys. But if it's like the current red star shop where you have a rotating group and you can upgrade them, man, we get like those gold stars take freaking forever. You get like a couple 6-star upgrades a year, maybe 1-7 a year. And the 5-star, it takes 150 days to get, 150 enough to rank up a 4-star to a 5-star. So these are not very fast accruals. So it is, I think the biggest takeaway here is red stars for Ultron and increased ones for Ultimates if you happen to like him. The store itself, every little bit helps in roster progression, guys. But if it's similar to the token shop right now, I wouldn't expect a major impact other than kind of leveling out some teams if you just had really bad luck and then be able to level them out. So you don't pull big on Moon Knight or White Tiger. Hopefully you all do. But you may be able to more quickly level out your specific characters that come into a team that's important to you. So it's nice to have that, again, like you mentioned, that agency. I think it's time for Ultron to get red stars. I think it's cool for him to do that. And it'll be really interesting to see kind of how he comes back into the meta with red stars. I imagine a lot of players, both new and old, almost everyone has Ultron, is going to be tinkering with him as a choice. He's going to be much more important than Ultimus, I would assume, but maybe not. Ultron's bots, I don't know if they're going to scale with the red stars. If I remember correctly, they don't, but I could be wrong about that, guys. I may be very wrong about the bot scaling. It's been a long time since they've never had red stars. I don't know, but most summons don't scale. I'm trying to think if Doc Ock, I think, does. I don't know if anyone else besides Doc Ock summons scale. Greg certainly doesn't. I want to say, I could be wrong about that, because I think Fury's bots or summons do scale with his red stars. So maybe they will. That's something to kind of look into, guys. So you'll be curious if his bots start getting a lot stronger, doing more damage, and his single target nuke starts one-shotting people with red stars, like I imagine it will. He could be a menace again, which would be kind of fun. API, application programming interface. I'm not going to read all this. They're working with MSF.gg, and they're coming out with a way to integrate with an API, a way to port all of our roster data to API. There's currently some other ways to do it in MSF.gg that use like a screen viewer. OMG's covered on this channel. So is Dutch Rudder. So is Valley. Valley's done a lot of stuff with MSF.gg. I would push you over to their channels to kind of read up on that. I don't want to recover and rehash that. They've done good reporting on that. But yeah, I think an API is needed. I don't like third-party software personally viewing my screen and reading it for all sorts of reasons, personal information, credit cards, and all that stuff. So I'd much rather have this built in to where it's just being fed from Marvel Strike Force to MSF MSF.gg, and none of my personal information is going along with it. So personally, I'm looking forward to this, and that's just my personal take. Is I don't want any third-party software that I don't know or trust or validated reading my personal information. But that's just my personal opinion on it. All right. Under review, everything mentioned above is already in production. There are a couple topics that aren't fully in production yet, but are actively under review by the team, and plans of action are currently being explored. Okay, and they are Alliance War. So this is many players' favorite mode in the game. It is myself, by far. It's not even close. The only other mode I actually cared about in the game personally was PvP. I love mainly draft balance PvP. I think Classic is a lot of fun too. I just think it's really hard to balance matchups in Classic. So you want to fight somebody that has a similar roster to yours so you can really make it a good fight. Or else somebody that has a really tall roster with a decent amount of options that can give you a good fight. But I personally love draft PvP tournaments and all that. I thought that was the most interesting part of the game that's come since War. I don't think anything's even close to it. I know it's a time sink, but like this is a game, it's a hobby. So like if you're going to spend your time in the game, I would much rather doing something that's kind of interesting and makes me think and that's fun, rather than just something I walk away from and hit auto on and don't care about. That's just me, but I like PvP in almost all games. I like the competitive aspect of it. A lot of people hate PvP in all aspects, and they don't like War. They don't want draft for balanced PvP without heavy rewards into it. I think the PvP aspects in competition. I've always been a competitive person. I've played a lot of sports in my life. I just think those aspects of gaming are the most interesting to me. But a lot of people just want to chill out. I'm playing Valheim, guys, and I just chill out, do PvE experience there, and just do the world building stuff. I get that. I get that aspect too. I do a lot of PvE types games as well. But I think in this game particularly, there's food arrived. My dogs want it. But in this game particularly, I think the PvP modes by far, just like very arbitrarily, are the best. Raids aren't nearly as interesting, but I know some people really do like the push of raids. Personally, they're not intriguing to me. The Doom raids aren't that interesting to me. I'm not much of a puzzler. I think if people that like puzzles like more of the raid content, I personally am not much of a puzzle person. So they're not interesting to me. Like if I walk into one of those, I forget what they call those rooms where you have to get out of all the puzzles to escape room. I personally hate those. I'm not claustrophobic, but I just don't like the concept of those. So I would not be a fun participant to bring along to an escape room event. That's not my thing. I just could care less about them. Anyways, enough said. Not my thing. Not my jam. But for people that do like puzzles, the raids are fun. They like kind of tinkering around with it, trying to find the best solution. Okay, this didn't work. What will work? What's the problem? What's available solutions and all that. So they like raids. They like the Doom, longer extended raids, all those kind of things. Working on the challenges when they come out. We haven't had upgrading challenges for a hot minute. They like doing that content. But for me, that's the PvE stuff, puzzles. I like the PvP challenge competition. That's just me. So Alliance War, they're looking at currently exploring several options to shake things up a bit, and we should have more additional information regarding room bonuses that we're exploring and additional attacks and additional defense squads per room. They got to be careful with this one. I'm sorry, trying to highlight, but it's the additional squads per room and attacking teams. They got to be careful because if they increase our attack limit, they need to bring down the refresh instead of 3.5 hours or whatever it's set to right now, waiting until your next attack. That needs to go away. I personally, guys, would love wars to be like 2 hours. Let's get this thing on, hit it hard, 2 hours, bang it out, and done. And there would be an hour cap to it. The food's here. The food's here. I know. Okay, I know. We got breadsticks and pizza. But yeah, I would like to make them fast and just hard charging. Let's go. But if they make a lot more attacks in here, like they make it 10 defenses per player and 10 attacks, now these are going to be 24-hour events, and that's just a long time, guys. I don't know. I like wars, but I like it. I like the intensity of war. I don't want to drag this out over a marathon personally. I like the wars to be like, bang, let's just hammer somebody, get hammered by somebody, and just have a really hard charging war. And I think the intensity of also like the race and like race to the finish is fun. The longer you drag this stuff out, more IRL stuff starts playing into it, and people can't be available like every 3.5 hours or whatever it is to make these attacks. So I think that's going to start becoming problematic. Yeah, too many distractions. So I'd rather just everyone gets to pick like a short window of time, be really intense in war, and then the war's over, and then you can go about your life again. If they want all of our repeated logins, I think they have so many different modes now they're going to be releasing. I don't think war necessarily has to be that, but just my personal taste, that's something to consider. I think new rooms and different kind of bonuses are a good thing. And kind of curious to see what direction they go with that. Real-time arena, we're taking community feedback into account in several aspects of the feature, including the recent change to players quitting a match before it's finished. This creates some unintended edge cases. Yes, it did. Personally, that's nowhere near the priorities for me, but it's an easy fix to fix that. We've also heard community feedback regarding some imbalances in matchmaking and desire to have greater incentive to focus on winning matches. That part right there is like the major one, and also making it fun, in which they didn't really talk about. We'll continue to explore options to incorporate feedback and iterate on the mode over time to help improve the overall experience. So guys, I'll be honest, this is probably the most disappointing aspect of the blog for me so far in reading it, is they don't seem to have a clear direction on where they want to go with RTA, and they really just are comfortable with it being a Blitz 2.0 mechanic and a very long duration event for the battle pass. Hey, here's 100 things of this you have to complete, and we want you to spend X amount of hours on average to complete this, and we don't really care about your experience. That's what RTA is right now, and if they cared more, they would have produced it in better state, and they would have introduced leagues and different things to make it funner to begin with. We're still going on since December when RTA has been released, guys. So we're 3 months heavy, solid in the books now on RTA, and we still don't have leagues. So it's a little strange that they're not announcing leagues. They did say that they have things in plan, but it just takes time to work on, so I'll kind of go into that. So summary, and there you go. That's your preview of what we're working on the first half of 2021. We have a lot of improvements and special events planned, especially around the time of the game's anniversary in March and April. And please note that everything is mentioned here is sort of change and being pushed outside of the given time frame. We'll do our best to keep you updated on the initiatives. While we're consistently looking at how to update and improve existing features, we are simultaneously working on developing new game modes. Awesome. Finally, they said it. God damn it. Finally. That will provide unique and thrilling challenges. Thank you. Please don't make it effing sliders. Sliders don't count. Sliders on challenges don't count, guys. New game modes, not sliders. Those don't count. New raids that are reskinned and just a slider of difficulty don't count. While we're not quite ready to talk about any of those yet, we do want you to know that they're under construction. So I'll be optimistic and hopefully something comes out. But again, here the depressing line is coming up, guys. They generally take a lot more time to create compared to improvements on current features. We hope to have more details to share later in 2021 or possibly a year from now in early 2022. Thank you very much for playing the game, and hope you have a great 2021 and beyond. So cool message, guys. I think they touched on a lot of things there. I'm a little disappointed in the lack of game development personally. And when I say little, I mean greatly disappointed in the lack of game development. I think for as much profit as they're making in the costs, they're putting very little back into producing new game modes, guys. If you look at League of Legends, which is a much larger game, they're like just sprawling out everywhere. They're creating an MMO. They're creating like a little board game thing. They have all sorts of like phone applications, and they're a much larger company, but they're investing back into the game to help it grow and keep expanding and expanding. And Marvel Strike Force seems very content just to stay where they are and plateau and sell characters and not develop the game over the last year. So hopefully the community will give them leeway, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. I think the skins are going to make people happy. So from the positive standpoint, I think skins will make the community happy. Sorry, this cursor or like thing is not working very well. So the skins are really nice, and that'll be a positive here. The most kind of visual change to the game is going to be skins. I think that's going to be an uplift to the community. Whether or not they have stat bonuses or whether or not they have just cosmetics and they're sold or accessible that way, I think that'll give more flair and unique kind of differences, so it won't feel so static, and people can have fun with that. So whether or not I get a bunch, because if they're they're expensive or whatnot, it doesn't really matter. I think they're going to be a nice addition to the game, and over time they'll keep introducing more for the characters that we all know and love. So I think that's a cool thing. I think the most on a downer note, I think the Strike Pass being another Free to play, pay to play divider is going to be kind of tough, especially because they're paywalling. This was kind of mentioning earlier, guys, is they're paywalling all of the T15 gear behind a lot of these mechanisms, usually the passes. So I'm curious to see if these get improved, or else if they start getting more access for T15 gear to things that are not paywall. And I like to see them be more involved in raid content as rewards and raid season rewards, other than just the war orb and the shop, because it's very expensive to do that. So hopefully we start to see some more accessibility for the gear outside of just these passes. But they seem to want us to buy the next gear tier, guys. So they're locking behind these strike and battle passes. But they do mention additional orange gear access in multiple different aspects of this, but they're not saying what gear tier of orange gear it is. So we kind of have to wait and see. But there's a lot of cool features in this, guys, and there's reason to have optimism, but I think we just have to be patient. It's not going to be here now. I'm a little depressed that they're so slow on RTA fixes and have no direction with that. It doesn't show very much promise that they're not introducing game modes fast enough when they kind of reduce or released RTA in a very raw state. That's as optimistic as I can put that. And they're very slow to fix it. They're just doing small tweaks to the matchmaking and those kind of things and the objectives. But the mode itself, it's pretty clear. It's very raw. And so that doesn't leave a lot of optimism for the mode development and new game mode development when it's been out for 3 months. It's very raw. And then, okay, if this is so slow to get leagues and improvements to it to make it a fun game mode, is there much promise for anything new coming out this year for new game content? From a game mode standpoint, I would say probably 2022, guys. So just kind of hang in there. If you like the game and you want to hang in there, just be patient. I'm not the best advocate for that or cheerleader. I'm usually like, man, it's been a long time since new game content. My patience is kind of wearing thin, and I'm leaning towards other games for my kind of hobby stuff at times, just because I find them a little bit more enjoyable. But I do like the game a lot. I'm invested in Marvel Strike Force, so I'm here. But if you do like the game, I would just try to have realistic expectations for it and just accept it for what it is to a certain extent and play it like both with its own merits and understanding what it is. It may not be all the stuff that we hope it to be, but we can appreciate it for what it is and then play it the way within that reality and restraint. We can play the way that we want. So if it's not all that we want, but we can kind of manage what we put back into it. So if you want to put all of your effort and hobby time and thought process, from your free time into the game, you can do so. If you want to be more nonchalant and casual and just pick it up, when you see free, that's what games are all about. So there's no pressure, and I think just having a healthy perspective towards the game at times is positive. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up the blog, and I actually got some food out here. My pups are clamoring to go eat this food, so I'm gonna go grab it. And I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Be safe, have some fun, spend some time with your family and loved ones, and be good. But until next time. I'm sure somebody's going to kick my ass with a 7 Red Star Ultron very soon when this comes out. And I think that's one of the big hidden things here to watch out for, guys, is how big of a deal is Red Stars and Ultron going to be? Is he going to be more impactful than Doom? He has turn meter rewind on his bots. Is he going to be important in rewinding Doom? There's other mechanisms to do that currently. But it'll be interesting to see if this mega villain squad starts forming with a lot of different options and things we can do. So I think Red Stars for Ultron is going to be a cool thing that's coming to the game. And obviously the new character that Marvel Strike Force is creating with Marvel is pretty interesting. And I can't wait to hear about more about that character and what their name is, some artwork, here. Probably around that anniversary time when they said March, April. That's probably around the time we're going to start seeing some of that. And that should be pretty neat. So again, congratulations to Marvel Strike Force, and hopefully they keep improving the game and we can all continue to enjoy it. But all right, guys, take care. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.